Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about the K5 GSXR 1000. So this is the Suzuki's legendary 2005-2006 GSXR 1000. So this bike is very special because this is the finest sports bike Suzuki ever made, and that includes the current crop of the bikes as well. Now I know the new GSXRs have the variable valve timing and 6-axis IMU and blah 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 blah, all the technology under the sun. But this bike is special. Now the reason this bike is special is because it only weighs 166 kilos dry. That's it, 166. When I first read it, I couldn't believe my eyes that a bike, 1000cc bike, will weigh only 166 kilograms. And I was very surprised. So I thought, okay, what's so special about this? Let's find out. And find out I did. So I read review after review of owners raving about this bike, and I just still could not figure out what was so special about this one. And I started looking for buying one of these in like 2020, so about 4 years ago. And by that time, they were already 15 years young and very hard to find. So took me a while to find this one. And this bike didn't look as good when I first got it. Maintenance was not up to date, but I made a few changes on this one and now it's looking great. So the thing with this bike is, now fully fueled it weighs under 200 kilos. So if it's 166 kilos dry, you do the math, put in the fuels. It's got a 19-liter fuel tank, and so you put about 4 liters of oil and brake fluids and all of that, and by the time you're done, you're well under 200 kilos. And on top of that, this bike comes with a full titanium system exhaust from the factory. Now only the very premium bikes in this day and age get the full titanium systems, but this bike, even though it's old, and it came with a full titanium system. Now granted, the emission laws were a little bit relaxed back then, and we didn't have the Euro 4 and Euro 5 crap, but the factory exhaust is still pretty big on this one, and it doesn't sound as good. So I removed that one, and I have put this lovely race fit exhaust, which is also titanium, from the UK, and it's shaved another 5 kilos of weight. So this bike is super light, super flickable. It feels like the MT-07. I'm not even going to compare this to MT-09. MT-07, the high output one, was the bike when I first sat on it. It felt extremely small and very flickable, very nimble. You just feel right at home on the MT-07. And I felt the same one on this bike, the K5 GSXR. So the steering is so light and so nice. As I was saying, the steering feels so light and so nice that you wonder that is this really a full power 1000cc bike? It does feel nimble like a 600cc sports bike. It is super sharp in terms of its handling. If you put good tires on this bike, you're gonna be pretty much unstoppable on a racetrack. And as Ari and Zach from Revzilla proved it, this can even beat the newest of the new super bikes. And they raced this K5 GSXR against the Ducati Panigale, I think it was, and they beat it every single time. They changed the riders, they matched all the variables, and this bike was still faster. So there is something very special about this bike, and the special sauce is this amazing engine. Now, this engine makes 176 horsepower, 176, 178. It depends on who you ask and which dyno it's been measured on, but it is in excess of 175, so that's a lot of power. This doesn't have any ABS, as you can see, no ABS ring on the disc. This doesn't have traction control, no 6-axis IMUs and cornering ABS and launch control and wheelie control and all of that. It's just you and the bike. It's just a very pure experience, and that's what makes this bike really special, because there's nothing like it left anymore. So this is one of the last ones that is left. And the other thing with this bike is it's got a really short wheelbase. As you can see, the body goes over the wheel. See the wheelbase, it's so short, so that's why it is so easy to throw around and just manage it around corners and just keep riding it as hard as you can. But it's a very pure experience. So because it doesn't have any electronics, so you really need to know this bike before you can start throwing it around in the corners and riding it hard. So it's that, and like I was saying, the engine, sorry, my thoughts are everywhere because there's so much about this bike that I really like. It's really hard to cover everything. The engine, it makes so much torque. It is 118 Newton meters of torque, and it starts pulling really hard from 4,000 RPM. From 4,000 RPM all the way to 13,000 RPM, where the red line is, it just keeps pulling and it does not stop. So very torquey engine, and people have compared this engine to V4s and V-twins in terms of how much torque it produces in the mid-range. The mid-range of this bike is absolutely crazy. I will start the bike in a bit, and I will also note down all the changes that I've made to this bike to make it completely mine and make it more usable. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I am getting old, so the handlebars was the clip-ons were not suitable for me. So I got this LSL ABM bar riser kit. So this is made in Germany. It comes with this handlebar. It comes with the bar ends. You have to pay extra for this, of course. It comes with the brake fluid reservoir. You pay extra for this as well. And it comes with an extended clutch and brake cable, and they're all steel braided, so they're like really good quality cables. And this changes the geometry of the bike on how you sit, and it makes this like completely upright. Now when I say completely upright, I'm not talking about like a GS. You still have a little bit of weight on the handlebars, but it is absolutely comfortable. It's nothing that it will bother you even if you ride it for 4 hours straight. But it's a good thing. The design of this handlebar is such that you rest your palms and your weight on the handlebar, and it holds the bike down, the front end down. So a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you are changing it from the clip-ons to these straight bars now, and this bike is not gonna stay on ground. It's gonna have more air time and this and that." And I was a little bit nervous, but when I did put these bars on, I did not notice that the bike was any less. Um, it didn't give me any less front end feel, or the front end didn't feel light, or it didn't feel like it wasn't gripping. This bike still feels like it's on rail. The tires feel like they're glued to the road. Like you have to do something really, really silly for this bike to lose its traction on the road and basically we end up on the ground. So you need to know what the throttle does, and you need to know your limits as well. So I have pushed this bike very hard, but fortunately I haven't had an incident where I thought that the bike was unsafe, or it was losing traction or any of that. So that's that. This ABM bar risers made a huge difference. Like, I really liked this bike when I got it, but I came to that point where my neck was in pain, my back was in pain. You couldn't ride this bike for more than an hour and a half, and it just wasn't enjoyable. You're constantly down, and it just wasn't feeling good, and your wrist hurts. And I know I sound like a little bitch, but it is something that happens once you get um, past 35. You get all these aches and pains, and sports bikes are no longer your friends. Sports bikes are good for acrobats, gymnasts, and young people under the age of 25. So these bars, they made a huge difference, and so I was really pleased with that one. So the next thing I did with this, which I've already shown you, is this race fit exhaust. Now I'm going to start this bike up so you can hear it. But the standard exhaust, it is so quiet. It is titanium, full titanium. So the headers of this bike are titanium, and the standard exhaust is titanium as well. But it just is very quiet. It just did not feel like you're riding fast or you're doing anything special, because the power just felt like very linear, very smooth, and the exhaust was really quiet. So I was getting pretty bored of it. So now I'm going to start it up and show you. Okay, that was RC8, and as you can see, the road becomes dirt road from here, so people turn around from here. As I was saying, let's start up this race fit exhaust and see how it sounds. Yeah, okay, so bear with me. Now the angle will get a little bit screwed up because I have to press clutch so I can start it. Exhaust, and it's a lot of fun when you're actually riding it. So that was the second major change that I did with this bike, the race fit exhaust. Let me put this in gear so the bike doesn't slip away. Okay, stable. Yep. Okay, so race fit exhaust, it made the bike sound a lot nicer. I did buy it with the baffle, but the baffle kills the character of the exhaust. This is a little bit loud, but you get used to it, and it does sound really nice when you're on full gas. Not even full gas, just past 6,000 rpm. It just howls, and it is so exciting. It's just that the sound just pushes you. It just makes you push the bike harder, and it is really nice. So that's the second change. The third change I made to this bike is, sorry, I have to keep cutting out because there's a lot of cars and traffic here on this road. I know it looks like in the middle of nowhere, but for some reason there's a lot of cars that keep going on from here. As I was saying, the third change that I made to this is I upgraded the suspension. So this one has now stiffer springs in the front forks. So before I changed this, the suspension was so stiff and so hard that it felt like it felt probably what the Flintstones car feels like with no suspension. It was very, very stiff, very hard. It would shake your fillings from your teeth. That's how hard it was. So that was one of the reasons that I was really fed up with this bike, and I thought maybe I should sell it. So the seating position and the hard suspension. Okay, so because the suspension was so stiff, it felt like a bouncy castle, but not in a fun way. So I went to a suspension specialist, and he suggested that because I was over 95 kilos, so I'm on the heavier side, and the suspension is not equipped to deal with bigger riders, and also the original suspension I do not think was ever serviced. So they changed the fork oil. They put stiffer springs in that and high viscosity fork oil as well, so it absorbs the bumps so much nicer. Now this bike has fully adjustable suspension, so you can adjust the compression, the dampening, the preload, so you can do everything. So I changed that, and I also changed the rear spring, the rear shock, that is, and also this one is a heavier, stiffer spring, so that made a huge difference in the way the bike soaks up the bumps, and the way it also handles. So it feels very stable. So that was another change. This one was a cheap one. So this is a double bubble windscreen, and so the standard windscreen had a lot of wind coming to my helmet because of the changed seating position, but as soon as I put this one on, it just completely transformed the aerodynamics of the bike, and the bike felt so much nicer on freeway. Now you can push this bike to 200 kilometers or 220, and you will not feel the wind on your helmet. Now these speeds are obviously done at a track and not on a public road. So that's that, and time to address the elephant, or the elephant-sized seat. Now people tell me that this seat looks weird, it feels like a bicycle seat, etc., etc., and I say to those guys, screw you, because it doesn't matter. It's my bike, and this is the top part is memory foam, and there's also a gel pad in here, and it provides a lot of cushion, and it is so much more comfortable. You can sit on this bike, ride it for 4 or 5 hours, and you do not have any issues. And people who know the original factory seat is this thin, and see how hard it is. So it wasn't fun. So this seat does offer a lot of padding, a lot of comfort, so that made a huge difference. The other thing is this, the Ventura rack. Now I haven't had the rack on today, but basically it creates a rack at the back here, or you can change it over and create a rack here. You can load up a nice big bag and you can go touring with this one. I think bro is doing laps around here. It's a good, nice, twisty road. Anyhow, as I was saying, the rack is also a game changer. Now, the Ventura racks, if you haven't seen it, just Google it, or next time I will upload a video making a review of the Ventura racks and all the comfort mods that I've made to this bike. So you can put a very nice big bag to it, and you can easily put two people's clothes and whatever necessities you need. You can easily go touring with this. A backpack and a Ventura rack with a big bag on it. That's very adequate for even two people to go motorcycle camping if you want. Not that I would do it, but you can definitely carry a lot of stuff with you and go touring. So all these changes made this bike so much more versatile and so much more usable, and also Brembo brake pads, so that added a little more brake feel. The other change I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Brembo master cylinder here instead of this Nissan. So people who use this bike for track have mentioned that the Brembo master cylinder makes a huge difference in terms of the brake feel. The brake pads already have made a huge difference, so that's that. And also next week my Translogic quick shifter is coming over, so then this bike is also going to have a nice quick shifter, so that would be fun. So we'll see how that one goes. I'll make a review of that one as well. But yeah, quick shift, nice aerodynamic windscreen, straight bars, comfortable seat, Ventura rack. This bike is transformed. This bike, you can use it for everything. You can commute on it, you can go touring, you can go on the track if you want. Yeah, so it pretty much does everything now. And I couldn't be more happier with this. And it's got a 19-liter fuel tank. If you're on a freeway and if you're not pushing it too hard, you're doing 110, 120 on a freeway and just cruising on a 6th gear, you can get close to 350 kilometers on one tank of fuel, which is very good. Before the reserve light comes on, so you can go close to 360 Ks, 360, 370, I think it is. What was it? 340. I think the reserve came on last time, 340ish, and had another range of 40 Ks. So you can do a decent range on this one. Now the thing is, Suzuki has launched the GSXR 1000 GX this year, or was it last year? So it's basically the K5 engine, and it has a bunch of new features. The 6-axis IMU, I think it has. It also has a color TFT screen. To be very honest, I do not see the need for a TFT screen. It's got an up and down quick shifter, cruise control, and what else does it have? And it's an upright bike, so I've already got most of those things. And this engine is not detuned, and it is extremely light. That bike, the GX, the GSXR 1000 GX, it comes in at 235 kilos wet. Now this bike is under 200 kilos wet, so you're adding up another 38 kilos of weight on that, plus you're paying 22,000 Australian dollars for it. So that's a lot of money. And for for quite a bit less, I've got this bike fully kitted out. The only thing it doesn't have now is the cruise control, which you can add. So you can add the cruise control for $1,500. And this is why I kept stopping. There's like dust storm and cars going by. All right. So another $1,500 and you can get a MC cruise control added to this, and this bike is complete. And this will smoke that Suzuki GSXS GX in a straight line, in corners, wherever, guaranteed. This is how good this bike is now. And forget about the GX, it will also smoke the S1000R, the naked one, and also RR with the right rider on this on the track. So do not underestimate this bike. This is an amazing bike, and this is completely transformed now with all these changes. So I would say screw the GX, the GSXS 1000 GX. Save your money, buy one of these, spend a little bit of elbow grease and love on it, and make it nice like I did. All right, that's it from me. Rocky out.